This case is one of the worst cases ever recorded. Johann Kotze was the most wanted criminal in the country's history. The case is sadistic, cruel, monstrous, and despicable. I would urge anyone who is sensitive to violence to skip this video. It is truly horrific. Born in Namibia in 1961, Johann Kotze, nicknamed Modimolle Monster, is a notorious South African female abuser and is currently serving 2 life sentences in a maximum security prison in South Africa. Kotze is known as a slippery character because of his ability to commit some of society's most heinous acts and yet take little responsibility for them, including the alleged murders of 2 elderly women in 1990 and 1993. Kotze was married at least 5 times, including to Sarita Venter, a woman from Bethlehem whom he met in 2008. He not only abused her mentally, physically, and emotionally, but squandered over 1 million rand of her business money, leaving her in financial difficulties. They divorced and she eventually committed suicide in November 2010. In October 2010, Ina Bonnet and Johann Kotze were married. This, I believe, is wife number 5. Kotze abused his wife and they separated in 2011. Kotze followed her wherever she went, and at a New Year's Eve party, he saw her dancing with and kissing another man. This enraged him, and after he witnessed the incident, his sadistic plan took shape. During 2011, Bonnet visited Kotze's home in Modimolle twice to collect her belongings. Modimolle, formerly known as Nylstroom, is a town located near the southern edge of the Waterberg Massif in Limpopo Province, South Africa. On the 3rd of January 2012, Kotze called Ina Bonnet about some boxes containing her belongings. She promised to be there to collect them. Upon arrival, she parked her car at Kotze's gate. Bonnet asked for a glass of water while Kotze stood outside the home talking to her. Folks, this is where the nightmare begins. If you want to stop here, by all means do so. After handing her a glass of water, Kotze convinced her to come inside. Once inside, he took her to one of the bedrooms and immediately pulled a towel over her head. He then threw her on the bed. Little did she know that 3 more men, Andries Sietel, Pieta Moloch, and Franz Mufaka, were hiding in the cupboard. Kicking and screaming, Kotze tied her up with ropes attached to window bars in the bed. She screamed and took deep breaths as her mouth was so tightly shut that she couldn't make any sound. He continued insulting her, saying, "Today, you will feel what it is like to be raped." He said he would have to sell his farm in Bloemfontein for a whore. Kotze's reasoning was that Ina Bonnet, her father, and her son Conrad had insulted him. She shook her head violently to show that it wasn't true. The more she shook her head, the more he attacked. Kotze then sat on her while continuously hitting her. He then called one of the men, Andries Sietel, to help remove her pants. Kotze then proceeded to torture her with nails, screwdrivers, pliers, and a grinder before he and the 3 helpers took turns raping her repeatedly. Kotze continued his torture by using the pliers and a long silver object. He twisted one of her nipples with pliers and cut off the other nipple while telling her that she ruined his life. When Bonnet testified in court, she said that she had repeatedly begged the 3 men to help her, using the movements of her eyes as her mouth was so tightly bound she couldn't utter a sound. She said that the men ignored her and continued inflicting pain on her. Her breasts were totally mutilated and she was subjected to more than 3 hours of torture. After the assault and while holding a gun to her head, Kotze lay next to her and told her how much he loved her. He told her that she had ruined his life. He told her that when her son arrived, he was going to bring him to the bedroom and force him to violate her indecently. Kotze then proceeded to dial her son Conrad from Bonnet's phone. He told Conrad Bonnet to come home as there was something he needed to discuss with him. Conrad was at the gym at the time and a friend of his, Martinus Clouet, later testified in court that Conrad thought it was strange that his stepfather called him from his mother's phone since they were separated. Martinez accompanied Conrad to his stepfather's house where they were very friendly, greeted by Kotze. To try and separate the friends, Kotze asked Martinez to go to the garage and bring back a crate he had left there while Conrad followed his stepfather into the house. Ina Bennett heard her son entering the house. Kotze and the three men left Bonnet tied to the bars and bed and met Conrad in the passage. Kotze told Conrad that if he doesn't have intercourse with his mother, Kotze would kill him. All Bonnet heard was, "No, uncle, please don't do that." Then she heard a shot and another and yet another. 3 shots were fired into Conrad's body, 1 in the face, 1 in the chest, and 1 in the knee. Conrad died on the spot. Kotze's landlord, Dirk van der Merwe, was friends with Kotze, and his wife Vivienne was Bonnet's friend. When Cloet, Conrad's friend, returned from the garage having not found the crate, he saw a movement in the bedroom through one of the doors. He called Vivienne and she came over to the house. At this time, Bonnet's car was no longer parked outside. When Vivienne arrived at the house, she asked where everyone was. Martinez was still standing outside and said he didn't know where they were. Martinez then went inside while Vivienne stayed outside to make a phone call. Martinez walked down the passage and then from room to room. He testified, "I saw my friend lying on his side in the room. I also saw blood. I went to the room where I noticed movement and saw Vivienne van der Merwe busy untying Auntie Ina. Ina managed to untie herself from the ropes fastened to the window. Vivienne then told her that Conrad was in the next room. Bonnet rushed to the room, and when she came out, she said, 'He killed my son. Get me out of here.' Vivienne helped Bonnet into the car, and the 3 went to the Modimolle police station. They filed a report, and Bonnet was then rushed to hospital. She spent 8 days undergoing operations across her body as well as treatment for possible HIV. After an 8-day nationwide police hunt involving Interpol, the Hawks, the government, and private security companies, Kotze was finally arrested at the house of his landlord. It was the landlord who called the police. During the 8 days he was on the run, Kotze slept in a white Toyota Fortuner just a few kilometers from the crime scene. On the 17th of July 2013, Kotze, along with the 3 accomplices, were sentenced by the High Court in Pretoria. Full sentencing was as follows. Johann Kotze, murder, life imprisonment, rape, life imprisonment, kidnapping, 10 years, assault, 15 years. Andries Sithole, murder, life imprisonment, rape, life imprisonment, kidnapping, 10 years, assault, 8 years. Pieta Molak, rape, life imprisonment, kidnapping, 10 years, assault, 15 years. Frans Mafaka, rape, life imprisonment, kidnapping, 10 years, assault, 8 years. My heartfelt sympathy goes out to Ina Bonnet. May God give you peace.